way to right wrongs is to turn the light of truth upon them. Ida B. Wells was more than a journalist. She was a warrior of justice. This is her story of courage, faith, and her unwavering pursuit of the truth. Born into slavery on July 16, 1862, Ida's life changed around the age of 3 when slavery was abolished in the United States with the ratification of the 13th Amendment in 1865. But hardship struck when she lost her parents to yellow fever at just 16. Instead of surrendering to despair, she took responsibility for her siblings. And after attending Russ College to support her siblings, Wells became a teacher. While teaching from 1878 to 1884, she began to observe and personally experience racial discrimination, especially in education and public facilities. In 1884, while traveling on a first-class train ticket, Wells was forcibly removed from the car because of her race. She sued the Chesapeake, Ohio, and Southwestern Railroad and initially won the case in a local court. However, the Tennessee Supreme Court overturned the ruling, further fueling her outrage and determination to expose racial injustice. From 1884 to 1891, Ida B. Wells taught segregated public school in Memphis, Tennessee, and began writing articles for the Free Speech, a black newspaper. Wells started writing about racial discrimination and segregation under the pen name Eola. She became increasingly involved in journalism and activism, contributing to African American newspapers. By the late 1880s, she became co-owner and editor of the Memphis Free Speech and Headlight, where she used her platform to expose racial violence and segregation. Ida B. Wells's friend Thomas Moss, along with Calvin McDowell and Henry Stewart, co-owned the People's Grocery, a black-owned store that attracted many customers, which angered white competitors. A conflict arose between a black and a white boy over a game of marbles. White mobs, supported by the police, attacked the store, leading to gunfire. Moss, McDowell, and Stewart were arrested, even though they were defending their business. On March 9, 1892, a white mob dragged them from jail and lynched them outside of Memphis. Wells vowed to expose the truth. She wrote a book named A Red Record in 1894 to document the lynching of African Americans in the United States. Like the one that happened on May 19, 1918, 33-year-old Mary Turner, 8 months pregnant, was burned, mutilated, her baby was killed, and then Mary was shot to death by a lynch mob after publicly denouncing her husband's lynching the previous day. At least 11 local African Americans, including the Turners, died at the hands of a lynch mob in one of the deadliest in Georgia's history. No charges were ever brought against known or suspected participants in these crimes. Mary Turner is just one of 4,743 Black Americans who were lynched in these illegal acts of mob violence between 1882 and 1968. The book was published in Chicago by Donahue and Henneberry. Through investigative journalism, she debunked the myth that lynching was about crime. It was about racial terror, economic, and political power. Her journalism enraged white residents. In response, on May 27, 1892, a white mob set her newspaper's printing press on fire while she was out of town. Facing direct threats to her life, Wells chose not to return to Memphis and instead went into exile in Chicago, but she refused to be silenced. From Chicago, she continued to write, speak, and organize against racial injustice. She became one of the most influential anti-lynching activists, traveling internationally to bring attention to racial violence in the U.S. Wells was an active fighter for women's suffrage, particularly for Black women. On January 30th, 1913, Wells founded the Alpha Suffrage Club in Chicago. The club organized women in the city to elect candidates who would best serve the Black community. As president of the club, Wells was invited to march in the 1913 suffrage parade in Washington, D.C., along with dozens of other club members. Organizers, afraid of offending Southern white suffragists, asked women of color to march at the back of the parade. Wells refused and stood on the parade sidelines until the Chicago contingent of white women passed, at which point she joined the march. The rest of the suffrage club contingent marched at the back of the parade. Work done by Wells and the Alpha Suffrage Club played a crucial role in the victory of women's suffrage in Illinois on June 26, 1913, with the passage of the Illinois Equal Suffrage Act. Governor Edward Dunn signed the suffrage bill into law, giving women the right to vote for president as well as local officers. This made Illinois the first state east of the Mississippi River to give women the right to vote for president. Ida B. Wells also co-founded the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, NAACP, after a race riot in Springfield, Illinois. Although she wasn't originally listed as a founder, the NAACP now recognizes her as one. Ida B. Wells' legacy echoes through time. Her work laid the foundation for civil rights movements, modern investigative journalism, and social justice activism. In 2020, she was posthumously awarded a Pulitzer Prize for her courageous reporting. She turned the light of truth on injustice, and that light continues to shine.
When do our children get to just be children? Black Lives Matter! Justice for Eric Gardner! Justice for Eric Gardner!
The fight for justice continues today. Ida B. Wells dedicated her life to exposing the truth, challenging oppression, and demanding equality. Her legacy calls on us to do the same, stand boldly for what is right, speak out against injustice, and never waver in the pursuit of freedom and fairness. Every voice matters, and every action counts in the struggle for a better world. Subscribe to History's Gifted Past, Present, and Future to uncover powerful stories of resilience, courage, and change that continue to shape our future.